Durango Diaries is our bi-monthly speaker series brought to you by the Durango Herald. Tonight we'll be hearing tales of motherhood. We've got Lisa Ferrell, married mother of two. In a previous life, she was an attorney, but several years ago, she became a full-time teacher to her two kids. She's from a ranching family in southern Colorado and northern New Mexico. Her and her husband raise yaks on a ranch. They sell the meat to restaurants and private individuals. She enjoys riding horses, mountain biking, hiking, and skiing.
So my family and I moved to Durango about 10 years ago. At the time, I had a 2-year-old boy. His name is Thomas, and he's now 13. And I now also have a daughter who is 10, and her name's Gabriela. My family and I have always enjoyed traveling together, and as the kids have gotten older, we've enjoyed hiking together also. So this year, we decided to merge the two. We decided to go on a trip so we could hike together. And we went down to Patagonia in South America. We were gone for about 5 weeks, and about 3 of those weeks we were hiking. And those hikes, we hiked anywhere between 10 kilometers in a day and 25 kilometers. And Thomas is an extremely strong hiker. Any peak you put in front of him and he's going to march up it, no problem. And Gabriela, my daughter, as I said, she's 10 years old, and how she gets around these hikes is she loves to just tell stories. And when she was younger, she started talking about Minecraft and the Minecraft worlds that she built. And then it became Sims and the Sim cities that she was creating. But this trip, and she's laughing right now, she's having a little trouble, it was dragons. And the dragon worlds that she was creating in her mind, and that she would come back to the hotel or the apartment and she was going to either draw the dragons or she was going to write about them. Well, I'd heard a lot of these stories, and they're always wonderful, and they last anywhere between an hour and 6 hours, because literally she could talk the whole hike. No matter how steep it was, the talk never slowed down, nor did her pace. But this one particular hike, it was a 20-kilometer out and back hike. I don't know, something was just different that day. She was just not into it. But I didn't really know that until about 2 hours into the hike. So she's telling me all these wonderful tales about the dragons and the people who care for them, and I'm listening. And my husband, Robert, and Thomas, they're up ahead, mainly, usually they were ahead of us. So all of a sudden, the dragon tails slow down and her pace slackens, and she's starting to complain. I'm bored, I'm tired, when is this hike gonna end? At first I thought I was handling it okay. Ask her later. But giving her encouraging words. You can do it, you're doing great, not too much longer. Well, she wasn't having too much of it. But we were making it through. And as I said, the boys were blissfully unaware of all this as they were ahead of us. Well, we finally come to the last 2 kilometers, and it's a steep ascent, the last 2 kilometers to the peak. Well, her pace really slowed. She wasn't complaining anymore, but you could just see it in her eyes. But I kept trying to encourage her, but I think that just got her madder. So I decided what I was going to do for my own benefit was hike up, hike back. Talk to her, try to move her up a little bit. Hike up, hike back. So I did that several times. Finally, I think she'd had enough. She looks at me and says, "Mom, I hate you." Okay, I'm done, just done with the hike. So I turn on my heels, march up. We only had about 100 meters to go. My husband and son are sitting under the overhang at the top waiting for us. So I hike up there. I look at my husband in the eye and I say, "It's your turn." At which point he very happily stands up, walks down to her, and brings her up, telling her tales about when he was a young boy hiking throughout the Alps with his parents. And from what he said, he was not always the generous and graceful hiker that he is today. So he had quite a few tales to tell. So we get to the top, and we're sitting down and we're eating our prosciutto and butter sandwiches. filling our bellies and looking at this beautiful view, and I'm relishing in my accomplishment. And I sit next to Gabriela, and she and I really had not spoken much since we got to the top. But I look at her, and I finally say, Gabriela, I guess we can title this hike the I Hate You Mom hike. And at which point she looks at me and she smiles. And at which point I know everything's going to be okay between us, because she and I have a good relationship. And I am filled with this wonderful feeling of peace and calm and happiness at being a mom. I know we've all had those feelings. But the other thing I was filled with was this feeling of sadness. And I couldn't get away from it. And I think I was trying to figure out, why am I feeling sad? Because here I am. What more could I want? But as I look back, why I was feeling sad is because I know that these moments, these treasured moments that I have with my kids, will end. And they're going to end because it will be their turn to go on and create these moments for themselves with their families. So I think that is what a lot of motherhood is about, because we're here to raise our children, and then make it so then it's their turn to go off, but we get left behind. And it's not always that way, but there's some part of that feeling. So I've been trying to figure out how to end my story, and I haven't really been able to figure out how to end. And I figured, of course, I can't figure out how to end it because it hasn't ended yet. So I guess all I can say is this story really has a to be continued. So thank you very much.